It being 10:30, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the February 13th, 2019 meeting to order of the Great Lafourche Board Commission. First off, I'd like to have the Pledge of Allegiance read by Mr. Tad Angelos, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you for coming. Please turn down your cell phones. Roll call, Mr. Sheremy.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, we have Seat A, Chucky Sheremy here. Seat B, Jimmy Lafourche.
Here.
Seat B, Perry Gisclair.
Here.
Seat D, Rodney Gisclair.
Here.
Seat E, Curtis Pierce.
Here.
Seat F, Larry Griffin.
Here.
Seat G, John Mellison.
Here.
Seat H, Mike Colley.
Here.
Seat I, Chris Colley.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sheremy. Next on the agenda is election of officers. Mr. Bryce, would you care to just briefly go over?
Sure, just to review what we are governed by, obviously state law and then our bylaws and Robert's Rules of Order. So you have to look at all those provisions and kind of intertwine them. But the way this process goes is we do nominations from the floor, which no motion or second, anything is required. The president will call for nominations, first for the office of president, then vice president, secretary, treasurer. This is the order that the officers are listed in our bylaws. So the nominations, he calls for nominations. Anybody from the commission can nominate an individual for that office. There's no motion is required to close nominations. He'll just call until no one else is interested in making any nominations, at which point we do a roll call ballot vote, which we go, just like when we do a roll call vote for something, for a regular motion, but each gentleman, when you call, you need to vote, state the name of the person you would like elected to that office. Whoever gets a majority of those votes takes office immediately. We don't need to make another motion or anything like that to get them into office. Everybody needs to vote. Even if we obtain a majority vote before we finish calling the roll, everybody goes, and we do that for each of the offices. And then, like I said, once you get a majority vote, the election for that office is final.
Any question?
Yeah, that's a 3-year term, right?
Correct. Our bylaws state that the officers take 3-year terms, and they remain in office until their successor is elected.
Mm-hmm. Any other question? At this time, I'd like to open the nominations for president.
I'd like
of
to
the Greater
nominate.
Lafourche Board Commission.
I'd like to nominate Harris Chucky Sheremy Jr. for president.
Any other nominations?
Can you second that?
No. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? I move the nominations be closed. Mr. Sheremy, will you read the roll, please?
Seat A, Chucky Sheremy. Seat A, yes, for Chucky Sheremy. Seat B, Perry Gisclair.
Chucky Sheremy.
Seat C, Jimmy Lafourche.
Chucky Sheremy.
Seat D, Rodney Gisclair.
Chucky Sheremy.
Seat E, Curtis Pierce.
Chucky Sheremy.
Seat F, Larry Griffin.
Chucky Sheremy.
Seat G, John Mellison.
Chucky Sheremy.
Seat H, Mike Colley.
Chucky Sheremy.
Seat I, Chris Colley.
Chucky Sheremy.
I would like to thank everyone. Appreciate this. This makes me feel good. After 19 years, I really want to thank everyone for this. Yes. Mr. President.
Congratulations. Yes, at this time, I'd like to personally thank everyone involved. While I had the pleasure and the honor of serving for 6 years as president, I want to thank the administration, the staff, and most of all the fellow commissioners for all the help that they had given me through the 6 years. And I know that this board has one thing in mind, and it's to move this board commission forward. We have some very aggressive steps that we're going to be taking, some very aggressive moves and projects, and I know everyone is on board. and it's to move this great port forward. I want to thank my wife and my family also, and it's going to be an honor to sit in Mr. Jeremy's chair, and at this time, I'd like Mr. Jeremy and I to change places. Congratulations, sir. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Don't ever let me slam it for you.
Check. I said, get me down forward. We gotta fix the seat.
You got it?
Got it. Give it to him, he got it, yeah. Okay. Okay, next we have Vice Presidency. As of now, any nominations for Vice President?
I'd like to nominate Rodney Jusclair.
First nomination is Mr. Rodney Jusclair. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? The nomination's closed. Mr. Rodney Jusclair, Vice President. I still gotta do it. Okay.
Yeah, you're still in your role.
I'm still in my role. Mr. Perry Jusclair.
Mr. Rodney Jusclair.
Jimmy Lafon.
Mr. Rodney Jusclair.
Mr. Rodney Jusclair.
Rodney Jusclair.
Curtis Pierce.
Rodney Jusclair.
Chucky Sheremy. Rodney Jusclair. Larry Griffin.
Rodney Jusclair.
John Mellison.
Rodney Jusclair.
Mike Colley.
Rodney Jusclair.
Chris Colley.
Rodney Jusclair.
Congratulations, Mr. Rodney. You're Vice President of the Port Committee.
Thank you for that, Mr. President. I want to thank everyone in the commission for having that vote of confidence in electing me Vice President. Thanks again, and hope I'm as successful as the former Vice President.
Maybe more so.
Maybe,
more so.
Okay, we have nominations for Secretary. Opening nominations for Secretary.
I'd like to nominate Perry Jusclair.
Nomination for Mr. Perry Jusclair. Do we have any other nominations? Any other nominations?
Being that they don't have no women, they don't have nobody.
Okay, nominations closed. Mr. Perry Jusclair.
Perry Jusclair.
Jimmy Lafon.
Perry Jusclair.
Rodney Jusclair.
Perry Jusclair.
Curtis Pierce.
Perry Jusclair.
Chucky Sheremy. Mr. Perry Jusclair. Mr. Larry Griffin.
Perry Jusclair.
Mr. John Mellison.
Perry Jusclair.
Mr. Mike Colley.
Perry Jusclair.
Mr. Chris Colley.
Perry Jusclair.
Congratulations, Mr. Jusclair. You're now Secretary.
Thank you very much. Trying to fill your seat, sir.
That's a big seat to fill. Or small, okay. Next, we have seat D, Treasurer. Any opening nominations? I nominate John Mellison. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Nominations are closed. Mr. Perry Jusclair.
John Mellison.
Jimmy Lafon.
John Millison.
Mr. Rodney Jusclair.
John Mellison.
Mr. Curtis Pierce.
John Mellison.
Chucky Sheremy. John Mellison. Mr. Larry Griffin.
John Mellison.
Mr. John Mellison.
John Mellison.
Mr. Mike Colley.
John Mellison.
Mr. Chris Colley.
John Mellison.
Mr. Mellison, you are now treasurer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
As now president, I hope that we're going to get along. Everybody, this board has been getting along and moving forward. Let's continue the progress, and everything, make it better and great like it's coming. Thank you. Okay, next we have approved minutes of January 9, 2019, regular meeting.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Griffin, second by Mr. Gisclair. Any comments? Public comments?
Discussion.
Discussion? The motions? What did I say? Vote on motions?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's passed. Next, we have Director's Report.
Thank you, newly elected Mr. President.
Thank you.
Looking forward to working with you into the future, continuing to work with you
Yeah.
as president. Northern Expansion Projects. Northern Expansion, Slip C, 1,671 foot, East Bulkhead, Picciola and Associates. Joe.
Yes, Crosby Dredging is the contractor. I do believe that we have made provisions with them to get a clear lien certificate, either later today or early tomorrow. They had some painting left to be done, which they're telling us it's going to be done by lunchtime, so we scheduled an inspection around 2:30 this afternoon to make sure that's all to our satisfaction.
So, Bryce, we might as well explain how we're going to do this. Being we had on the agenda later, we have consider accepting a clear lien certificate for the Crosby dredging, but we don't have the actual document, so it's not something that we really can approve because we don't have the document. So, but what we'll do is we'll approve the payment of the retainers that's left, and that'll be pending when you approve that payment. That'll be we'll pay it, actually submit the payment pending when we actually get the document, clear lien certificate, and they complete the painting. So by the end of this week, the checks will be sent out. They'll just be sitting, waiting to be submitted for payment. Bryce, any other comment on that?
I mean, we talked about it. They only had one lien on the project, which we've been in conversation with the subcontractor who had the lien. They've been paid. They FedExed all the documents to release the lien that the clerk's office actually received this morning. We were hoping it would be received yesterday and we would have the clear lien and wouldn't have to be having this discussion right now, but for whatever reason it didn't get there till this morning. I think everything's in order. We should have the clear lien certificate probably by the time we get out of this meeting. But the payment, so when we get to the clear lien, approving the clear lien certificate later on the agenda, we'll just take no action because we don't actually have a certificate to approve right now. But when we approve the payment in the list of invoices, it would just be conditioned on receiving that clear lien and them satisfactorily completing the painting on the bulkhead.
And it doesn't go against any laws or anything because the clear lien certificate technically, legally, does not actually have to be approved by the board. We just do it. So we're following all the proper laws. We just wanted to explain why we've not taken action and all that.
Okay.
All right. So next is the Northern Expansion Slip C 1,671 foot East Sweep Dredging Project.
Magnolia Dredging Dock is the contractor. This project is entirely complete. We are in the lien period right now. We do have a final balancing change order on the agenda for an increase of $168,932.40, and that's to catch the over dredge amount we do for future, it's like advanced maintenance dredging.
Okay. Next, we have minor Sheremy Senior Road Pavement.
Yep. So Angela Picciola, Mr. Larry.
Our plans to complete this project have been submitted to facility planning. It is our understanding that the people who review it have sent it on to management for their approval. Once management approves it, then we will be able to go out for bid. So I'm expecting that any time now.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Any
questions?
discussion? Okay.
All right. Airport projects. Davey.
All right, airport projects, first, airfield operations for the month of January were 2,200. We had actually passengers, month of January of 10,205, and vehicles 18,406. We got a few construction projects out there, so there's quite a bit of vehicle traffic in Pascagoula.
Yeah. The just to make note to the general public that 10,205 passengers is about 1,000 more passengers for the month of January in 2019 than we had in both 2017 and 2018. So there's a lot of activity going on that. Okay, Davey.
And next project, next would be the airfield drainage improvements. I'm actually meeting with the Planners Design Group tomorrow to review the plans and specifications, and then we'll send those off to FAA for review before we can go out for bid on these.
Then the next one is the runway approach easement, the RPZ. We actually had a conversation with FAA this morning. We're going to have a conference call with our project manager as well as the project manager supervisor to talk about that land swap situation. Not land swap, but that land situation. They were confused a little bit, so I want to explain that to them. So it should be moving along. And what we're going to do too is we thought maybe we would do the actual taking down of some of those trees and cutting down some of those trees in that runway approach easement this year, but we're running against some deadlines on documentation, and we're really not ready to do the project. So we're going to do all the proper paperwork in this year, and then this is going to be a 2020 project. When we talk to FAA, that's the better route for us to go in terms of documentation, and we don't lose any funding or anything. Like, we're not in any issue with that. So that's going to be the path forward on that whole situation. Any questions on that? Okay, the Airport Road Culvert Improvements Project, Picciola and Associates. Joe.
Byron Talbot Contractors is the contractor on this project. They've moved on site and brought in the material. They started excavating, putting in a temporary cofferdam and whatnot. They'll probably be finished with that sometime today and then start work putting in the culverts later this week. And it should be a continuous job until they're done, at least with the culvert installation.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, has the traffic been impacted very much with all the construction on that road, or?
I don't think it has. I mean, they have some, they have a lot of traffic very early in the morning, they said, around between 5 and 6 in the morning.
Right.
And it doesn't seem to be impeding too much. I mean, it's just one lane going through still.
Good, thank you.
Okay, and the Lafourche Parish Government LA 308 Airport Access Improvements Project.
Beverly Contractors is the contractor on this project. They've done all the road base work. They actually started paving this morning. So they'll be continuously paving for the next couple of days, weather permitting. And then after that, it's all going to be just clean up. Most of the other work is done.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, Joe.
Good.
Okay, other projects. The South Lafourche Levee District LA1 Realignment and Flood Wall Project.
And Byron Talbot is the contractor on this project. They've put in all the signs and barricades. They've actually relocated the road further to the west for temporary. They're also going to start degrading the levee and getting ready to start driving the sheet pile and piles in the middle of the levee for the floodgate. So this is going to be an ongoing project for a while.
Okay.
And on that project, just to note to the public, please slow down in that area. It is an offset, and there are signs, so please take note of those signs and slow down in that area during that construction.
Yeah, there's a lot of workers working, going back and forth, so it's very important to slow down.
And the sheriff's department has the possibility of putting up speeding signs to...
They already did that.
They've
They
done
did
that?
that at our request early this week, put in notification signs, the big lighted signs that ask people to please slow down.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Section 203 Feasibility Study, GIS Engineering. Dustin.
Thank you, Chet. Dustin Marlborough with GIS. Our feasibility study is now in the hands of the federal government. We had our meetings week before last when we were in DC. We met with the Corps and the ASA. The direction that we got in our meeting with the ASA, who's responsible for administering the review of the report, is that in 15 days from our meeting, which I don't think it's happened yet because we hadn't seen something come across, and I don't know if we're going to see the letter, but they had to direct the Corps to start the review process, which is going to trigger a 45-day period where they're going to review the report, not in a whole lot of detail, but review it and get back to us some clarifications and comments, where I think Chet and I will probably either set up a meeting with them, go up there, or have some kind of dialogue back and forth on a conference call to try to address those comments or clarifications. And then that kind of kicks off the detailed review, which is going to kind of filter more into the organization as it relates to both the feasibility components and the environmental EIS. So I think all is good. I mean, the report's in their hand. I gave some of the commissioners that was on the trip and was in the meetings with us, had a copy of the briefing document that we gave to the Corps and the ASA, which is kind of, we call it the executive summary of the executive summary, very brief, hits all the high points, has the cost benefits, the total cost of the project, and then some of the features as it relates to the dredge disposal and the benefits environmentally on the marsh creation in and around the port.
I know we talk about brief summaries a lot. Can you describe how big the report was you turned in?
Yeah, so the report, and Chet, I don't know if you still have one on the deal. It was a 5.5-inch binder. You know, we had to submit 15 copies of that. You know, as some of you guys, for the new commissioners, this was an effort that we started back in 2016, where you guys hired us, our firm, and we had a list of more specialized consultants as it relates to economics, and those types of things that the Corps would traditionally do. AECOM was one of the big subcontractors we had. And then on the environmental side, some that the Corps, we tried to, yeah, that's a copy of the report. And so it was a whole bunch of time and effort by a whole bunch of people to pull all that together. You know, when we first set out to that, we really didn't know exactly how big it was going to be, and as we went along, we tried to reduce that size as much as we can, and that's the final product. But
2,200 pages, right?
I think it's 2,200 pages.
And I believe you on 2,100 so far?
I'm on 2,195. Tried to make it today, didn't make it.
We feel comfortable with the product. We had a guy, Dave Bastian, as you guys know, was a part of our team all along. He's been doing these feasibility studies from the review side for the better part of 35 years. Having him there coaching us on what needed to be there, what didn't need to be there, what we need to focus on and what not focus on, really helped, you know, Chet and our team tremendously as we went through the process. But we're there. We're one step before the finish line. I think there's a lot of work to be done. We know that we're going to have to drag the rabbit across, but I think that's the start, and we feel good that that's something that we'll better rely on to move the project forward.
It took me an hour and 15 minutes just to pass through the pages.
I'm gonna make sure Chucky gets a condensed version so he can finish reading it.
I do have 4 extra copies of the 5.5-inch binder if anybody would like to have one for their bookshelf.
Wow. Yeah.
You may have to reinforce the bookshelf.
Yeah, I don't know if he said it while I was out, but, you know, having to get 15 copies of that up to Washington, I know, just put it this way. When they changed it to a 2-day time span to get it there, it saved $800 on the transportation. It's not cheap to get something like 15 of those binders up there, but it is what it is. You have to do it.
And I can verify when everybody in Washington saw the box come in, nobody wanted it.
Yeah, you're right.
That's
They
true.
would not want that.
But we're very pleased with the way this has come out, and you know, it's pretty gratifying for the staff, and I know for GIS engineering as well, to you know it's going to be a lot of work, and it took 3 years to get this done, but what we thought it was going to say is exactly what it said. So it's gratifying to know. We knew that we were going to have really good information in a report, and we knew that we were going to have a good product both economically and environmentally. We knew that, but you have to put it on paper, and you have to get it. You have to get all your models done. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and just to repeat what I said just a second ago, it's gratifying to actually get the result that you thought in the beginning. And to get, science and thought process behind the hypothesis you had in the beginning is good, and we have a really good project. We have something that, as we move forward into the future, and we aggressively, as Mr. Gisclair said earlier, aggressively chase after 50-foot draft to the port, and the economics that's going to bring to our community. But on the environmental side, what dredging that material and utilizing it beneficially will mean for our community and for the state is just, it's a good project all around, and I'm excited about the next 8 to 10 to 15 years of being able to work on this as we continue to move forward. So I'm off my soapbox now.
Yeah, and I don't want to drag on my update so we can get on with the meeting, but just to add a little bit of the crutch into the report, this, every time we would communicate with the Corps, which was very helpful with us along the way, but they would always tell Chet and I, this is your report, it's section 203, you can do it however you want. We can't tell you how to do it. You could put a 1-inch report together and submit it. You could put a 10-inch report together and submit it. You do it how you want it. You do it in your manner, your process. But we knew going along that once you get to that review, they want it their way. They see it in their language. And so we did that every step of the way. There were a few things that we wanted to save money on, which the Corps would normally do, that we didn't do. And every time that we did that, we have what we think is the answer when they make the comment. So just, I want you guys to know and it's not a whole bunch of stuff, but navigation, some navigation simulation stuff that we didn't need to do for the assumption of maintenance. So that was easy justification for us. It's the same port, it's the same stuff, other than a few bigger rigs coming in 5 to 6 times a year with escorts, that we didn't need to do that navigation simulation. That's mainly for your supplier container type ports, which isn't the operation here. So that's just one example, and there's probably 3 or 4 other ones where we didn't do exactly what they did, but we feel, along with Chet and Dave, that we have that justification when they ask the question, why didn't you, that they're going to accept that. Now, that's not a sure shot, but we did it in the spirit of, one, saving time, saving a little bit of money to get to the end result. So.
Thank you, Justin.
All right, thank y'all. Appreciate it.
I'd like to just thank you, and you and your entire staff, because that's a great report. It's a fine report, and we're proud of it.
Yeah, and it's good for me to take credit, but there's a lot more to our team that put in way more than the time that I did.
But we all worked together, and we appreciated that. And I know I speak for a lot of the commissioners. I feel that this report's going to go through, with the exception of a few items that may question. And I know your work is not done with us yet, but we look forward to continuing with y'all. Y'all doing a great job. Thanks so much.
We appreciate the opportunity to continue to service y'all. And this was obviously a great effort for us, a great initiative, and we're ready to see it through the finish line. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. All right, Nerby Collins Marina Boat Lift Extension, GIS Engineering, John Plaisance.
Good morning. This is phase 3 of the boat lift. You can see in the picture there, it's pretty much done. Look, you even have a boat up on there. Thank you, Serena. Good job. It's basically complete. The substantial completion, I think, is on your agenda for later this meeting. And they've actually even finished the punch list.
All right. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Public boat launch bulkhead repairs.
Most of this is done. The contractor's Plaisance dragline. You have a change order on your agenda that'll replace some of the sheets. You can see at the far end, the clean sheets. Those are the new ones along that stretch. The original plan was to just reuse the old sheets, but that was beyond the scope of the boat launch itself, and the sheets were the old sheets were kind of short, so we replaced those. Y'all approved that change order. That's on the agenda today, too.
Yep.
Yes. We are also, you can see on the way it is now, and he's essentially complete with what it is now, is you can see those bolts that are sticking out. We're a little concerned that the boats, when they launch and when they dock there, will rub on that. So we're going to have a change order for next meeting to come in and put a second wheel on top of that that'll have holes cut out in it to fit those bolts so that the boats, when they pass by, won't get damaged.
All right. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you. LA1 Phase 2 Leeville Mitigation Dredge. Angela Piciola, Mr. Larry had to leave and go to another meeting or something. So he just, that project's complete. All the repairs by Magnolia Dredge from some of the damages they did in that area are complete. We have a clear lien certificate later on the agenda for approval. Any questions on that? Okay, the CCTV Slip B camera and equipment project. April.
All right, so MOUs finally went out yesterday afternoon. So they're in the tenant's hands, hopefully a couple of weeks, then we'll be able to get those executed and get the project started.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, April. The Bell Pass structure repairs. Davey?
Bell Pass structure repairs, I spoke to Brent Gidget at E&L, who's the local, to go out here and remove all the existing equipment. He's looking at next week, he'll be out there to remove that, so that project should be done by the next week.
All right. The Corps of Engineers, Bell Pass dredging, maintenance dredging they're doing is in process now. They've been working, I believe, since the end of January 28th, something like that. A notice to mariners was sent out January 22nd by the Corps and by the Coast Guard. We sent out emails to our tenants that are subscribed to our messages on January 25th, and another one just last week. And this work is going to take place for at least another 30 days or so. They had, fortunately enough, they had about $7.1 million to do some dredging, which equates to about 1 million cubic yards they anticipate. So project is ongoing. It was a much needed maintenance dredge project. And they're pumping it to the east side. You can see some of those pictures of where the material, that's a high pressure pipe that's going on. We don't see that very much. The material actually pushing that hard. Any questions on that? Okay. Moving on, update from the LA1 Coalition. We really don't have an update. Henri got with me last night and said that he's preparing for some meetings with some of the oil companies and looking at getting a match for the next phase of the project. He's been working on that for the last several months. So project's still in a phase that we need some funding, and we're working on trying to piece together the funding for that next project, the next phase to get it inside the levee system in Golden Meadow. And we're moving on to public comment. I know we do have someone that would like to make public comment, so please come to the mic. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Donovan Freeman, and I'm a candidate for the District 55 seat of the Louisiana House of Representatives. I want to begin by expressing my gratitude for the entire board for your commitment to this port. Even though District 55 is in the northern part of the parish, I recognize the significant importance the port means to the entire parish of Lafourche in the state of Louisiana. That's why I'm here today, to introduce myself and encourage any and all feedback or ideas on what can be done legislatively to assist the port on reaching its fullest potential. So I look forward to meeting each and every one of you and working with you in the future. Thank you, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Thank you. Good luck.
Okay.
Any other public comment? I'm sorry.
Any other public comment? Okay, next we have committee reports. The first committee is executive committee. Chairmans are Perry Gisclair, Larry Griffin, Chucky Sherman, John Mellison Jr. Mr. Gisclair.
Okay, first is consider approving the quitclaim deed with Constantine Land Trust.
Okay, so we're moving along on the land purchase of Constantine. We need recommendations to approve this. Bryce, you have comments on that?
Right. So the first item is the quitclaim. That's what we've been talking about for months now. These were the strips of property that were initially conveyed to DOTD to build 3090 and Waleda determined that the DOT didn't need it. It went back to the Constantine heirs. So because this was not in the trust, this was kind of a side effort that we had to get that property from the heirs themselves. So we have all the signatures that we need, and we just need approval from the commission to accept that property.
Okay, I need a motion.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Gisclair, second.
Second?
Second by Mr. Pierce. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Next is consider approving the purchase of the Constantine Land Trust property.
Same situation, Bryce, you want to go into
Right,
that?
so this is the property highlighted in green and blue on the picture up on the monitor. I know it's over 1,000 acres. The purchase price, we've had it appraised. The final price would be $1,477,712.64. Recommendation is to approve.
And I can make a mention, I know Mr. Gisclair was asking and wanted me to comment about this, that, you know, we had this appraised, so we're paying appraised value for the property. And telling you, it's a good price. It really, it's a good deal for us. In the grand scheme of things, the big picture of things, this price that we're gonna pay, that $1.4 million that Bryce alluded to, for all of that, you know, to about 1,200 acres of property, kind of almost equates to the amount of rent that we would be paying if we finished out the lease where our two buildings are in Port Fourchon. So this is, you know, it's just so happens to match the numbers match, because we're paying appraised value. But the bottom line is it's a good deal for the landowners, and it's a good deal for the Port Commission for the long term of what we want to try to accomplish.
It's
here.
a win-win.
Absolutely, it is.
So we're gonna own where our buildings are, plus all that additional property.
Marshland that's adjacent to the LA1, old LA1 going up towards Leeville.
For the price, we would have paid rent
Yeah.
for the next 30 years.
I just wanted
Okay.
a little clarification.
We
Thanks.
need a motion.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Pierce, second by Mr. Khalid. Any discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Mr. President, I hit one meeting like that, but now we're gonna have to say which Mr.
But I was trying to forget about that.
For the minutes. And Mr. Gisclair.
And it just clears too. I'm sorry about that.
Sorry,
We
yeah.
got twins now.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chairman?
Next is consider approving the amendment of lease with Oceaneering for site GLF 629.
Okay, this makes everything put together for the 800 plus the 450-foot lease. It commences, it fixes the commencement dates and when payment are going to be due. Bryce has been working on this. Bryce, you want to move forward?
So it would just be the basic rent for the remainder of the property that you haven't yet been paying on would start effective January 1st this year. And the improvement rent on the remainder, we're actually going to leave it up to them whether they want to start it in January or February. As y'all recall, the calculation of improvement rent is going to be irrelevant for us whether they start in February or January. So recommendation is to approve.
Okay, need a motion.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Gisclair, second by Mr. Millisome. Any discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Next is consider approving the request from VJ Caro to amend site GLF 202.
Okay, so there's two things that's going on here. First is their request is to add 3 5-year extensions to the lease, as well as split the lease up. You can see on the site there's a building with associated laydown and parking area, and then there's another site with another building with parking and laydown area. So the request by them is to extend the leases, have 3 more 5-year extensions, and then split the 2 into those, basically the diagram that you see up there. Recommendation is to approve.
Okay, we need a motion.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Mike Cully, second by Mr. Larry Griffin. Any discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's passed.
Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Gisclair. Mr. Perry Gisclair, thank you. Next, we have permits and waterways. Chairmans are Chucky Sherman, Larry Griffin, Perry Gisclair, and Curtis Pierce. First, we have LLOX, proposed dredging and installation of shell pads, 2 barges, 2 elevated walkways, and a line heater platform, and 5 4-inch pipelines to serve the Tarpon project. Next, we have Shell Pipeline, proposed after-the-fact permit application for 2 repairs of the Clovelly-Homa 24-inch pipeline under EUA 18-027. Next, we have Hillcorp Energy, proposed use of a temporary drill barge to drill, install 7 oil and gas production wells, the SL 3258 acceleration project, numbers 1 through 7. Then we have Greater Lafourche Port Commission, proposed dredging of a 1,000-foot by 3,872-foot slip, installation of a 10,033-foot bulkhead, and construction of a 30 by 4,163-foot roadway for the Port Fourchon Northern Expansion.
And that's an extension of our permit for Slip D.
Okay. Next, we have Hillcorp Energy. Proposed installation of 3 6-inch flow lines, approximately 16,095 linear feet from existing Little Pass facility to Cayo Island Tank Battery. And that's all we have for permits and waterways. Next, we have construction and development. Mr. Larry Griffin, Perry Gisclair, Rodney Gisclair, Mr. Larry Griffin is chairman. Go ahead, Mr. Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, we have consider accepting the clearing certificate from Crosby Dredging for Slip C, 1,671 feet East Bughead project.
So the recommendation, as we spoke about earlier, is to take no action on that since we do not hold that in our hand as we speak right now. We should have that later today.
Okay.
Okay, next is consider approving change order number 1 for Magnolia Dredge and Dock for Slip C, 1,671 feet sweep dredging.
So the change order is an increase of $168,932.40, and that was to balance for the extra cubic yardage that we had for the project because of not having the overdredge in the initial project. That is done and complete. Recommendation to approve.
Okay, need a motion.
A move.
Moved by Mr. Gisclair, second by Mr. Chris Gisclair.
No.
First by Rodney. Chris Cully.
Cully.
Excuse me, we've got too many twins. Any discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Next is consider approving the substantial completion certificate from Gulf Island Services for Nerby Collins Marina Boat Lift.
As was reported, the project is complete. Recommendation to approve.
Need a motion.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Melisson, second by Mr. Lafont. Any discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Okay, next we have consider approving the change order number 1 from Plaisance Dragline and Dredge for the public boat launch pavilion bulkhead repair and awning removal.
Okay, so this is the extra sheets that we needed to fix the boat launch. It's an increase of $4,470. Recommendation to approve.
Okay, need a motion.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Curtis Pierce, second by Mr. Mike Cully. Any discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Next is consider accepting a clearing certificate from Magnolia Dredge and Dock for the LE1 Phase 2 Leeville Mitigation Dredge.
This project is complete. All is in order. Recommendation to approve.
Need a motion.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Griffin, second by Mr. Lafont. Any discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
That completes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Next, we have Finance Committee. John Mellison Jr., Perry Jusclair. Mr. Mellison.
Morning, and thank you, Mr. President. Seems like you're going to fit that chair pretty well.
Yeah.
Let's start off by consider approving payments for the January 2019 invoices and recognizing those over $10,000. Item 1, we have Crosby Dredging, $509,990.05, and that's for Slip C Phase 3 bulkhead.
And on that one, Mr. Chairman, that's the check that we're going to hold until the clear lien certificate, till we get that this afternoon, more than likely, and the painting is complete by the end of this week. Once that's done, we will submit that payment.
Thank you for acknowledging that. Next, we have item 2, GIS Engineering, $219,194, and that's for the Section 203 Integrated Feasibility Study. Item 3, Magnolia Dredge and Dock, LLC, $195,513.46, and that's for LA1 Phase 2 Leeville mitigation and Slip C Phase 3 sweep dredging. Item 4, PCO and Associates, $127,326.61, and that is for the Airport Access Road, Slip C Phase 3 bulkhead, Slip C Phase 3 sweep dredging, Slip C Phase 3 400 linear feet of east bulkheading, and engineering for Slip D mitigation area and photography. Next, we have item 5, Expert Technology, $58,346.53. That's for the balance of SAN and contract labor for the 2018 cameras and equipment. Island 6, Gulf Island Services, $45,822.96. That's for the Nerby Collins Marine Boat Lift. Item 7, Angelette and Picciola, $43,222.74. That's for the Fouchon Island Conceptual Development and Minus Jeremy Road. Item 8, Plaisance Dragline and Dredging Company Incorporated, $35,356.50. And that's for the awning removal and bulkhead replacement at the Fouchon Public Boat Launch. Item 9, Vision Communications, $28,728.22, and that's for phone, cable, and internet services. Item 10, Byron E. Talbot Contractors Incorporated, $23,384.14, and that's for culvert replacement at the airport. Item 11, Epic Aviation, $21,231.14, that's for fuel and resale truck, and also truck rental. Item 12, HFN Enterprises, $21,000. Cybersecurity Advanced Workforce Firewall Training and Assessment. Item 13, Bent Marine, $19,138.46. And that's for 2 Yamaha 115 horsepower engines. Item 14, Applied Concept, $17,600. That's for 2 SAM trailer and top display. Item 15, Bank of America, $15,807.76. That's for port credit card charges. Item 16, Grand Isle Shipyard, $14,478.43. That's for contract labor and limestone at the boat launch. Item 17, Aon Risk Services Southwest, $14,033, and that's for airport liability insurance renewal. Item 18, Performance Power Sports, $13,689.48, and that's for 2019 Polaris. Item 19, Frisch Hearst Electric Company Incorporated, $10,499, and that's for the Slip B camera project equipment. That, along with our other expenditures, bring us to a grand total this month of $2,092,858.64. And Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion we accept these expenditures.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
And second by Mr. Jusclair, Perry Jusclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion pass.
And last, we have consider approving out-of-state travel and training request. We have IT support technician, Mr. John Crochet, attending the MPSISAO F2F Customer Intel Workshop in Florida, February 26th through the 28th. Next, we have Director of IT, Ms. April Danos, attending the AAPA Security Committee meeting in Florida, March 6th through the 8th. And we have Director Chasson, along with Commissioners Rodney Gisclair and Curtis Pierce, attending the AAPA Conference, Spring Conference in Washington, D.C., March 18th through the 20th. Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion. We accept these out-of-state travel and training requests.
Need a second?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Mike Cully, second. Any discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It passes.
Mr. President, congratulations on your new position, and this concludes the financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Melisson. Appreciate it. Any other business? Public comment?
I have something.
Go ahead, Mr. Gisclair. Rodney Gisclair.
I would like to thank all of the staff and commissioners for their condolences and kind words on my father's passing last week. Thank you all very much for all of that. My family truly appreciated that. Thank you again.
Okay, Mr. Any other business? Public comment?
I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn.
Motion, first I'd like to say from behalf of this board and the new elected officers, we're really going to work hard to make sure that we continue that we have done in the past. Just remember, this bayou, this port belongs to the people of the bayou, and I've always said that, and I will continue saying that. I'd like to thank everyone. Okay, we have adjournment by motion by Mr. Melisson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Griffin. Any discussion? Public comment? Motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Oh,
Thank you all for this meeting.
You got to swing the hammer.